Hello, welcome to Desperado Van Adventures. This is a channel that I've just created and this is the first video. It's all about my wild camping adventures. This particular one takes in numerous English stopover sites and 2 stopover sites in Scotland. So sit back and enjoy. Well, here we go. Glen Capel was the first place I stayed, and it's only a few miles from Dumfries in Scotland, on the river Nith. Now I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. It's spelled N-I-T-H, Nith or Ninth, not sure, but a lovely little spot in good weather. It's probably a horrible looking place in wet and windy weather. It all looks beautiful when the sun's shining, the blue sky reflecting into the river. Now there is a bar and restaurant up there, but we didn't use it. We just made our own stuff. And if you look down the banks there, you'll see it's very muddy, so I wouldn't recommend you go in, you try to go down to the water. It looks very sinky. The mud looks very sinky. Now the next morning when we woke up, a fisherman arrived, and 5 minutes after throwing his line into the water, he got a fish. And it's sea trout, but apparently sea trout are protected and they have to be returned to the water. So the fisherman's name is Ralph, and thanks Ralph for allowing me to use your little fishing experience for my video. And you never know, we'll maybe meet up some other day again. I'll bring my fishing rod the next time. Right, so that's the fish on the bank, or out of the water I should say. And all he has to do now is get it up that high wall. There's always a danger the fish will break off. The fish is actually lighter in the water when it's floating, obviously, but when you're lifting it up a height, there's a chance the line will break. So he got it up alright. Looks to be about £1.5 or £2 weight, that fish. So all he needs to do now is get it off the hook and get it back into the water. Well done, Ralph. Nice fish. Right after visiting family in Manchester, moved down to the Peak District, to Airwood Hall, park up, just overlooking the reservoir. Now up through them fields there's a ruins of a mansion built in 1830. So I'll take you up there and let you see around. But before we do that, I'll just show you around the park up. The park up is actually looking out onto this road. That's the road there. Obviously that's the reservoir and the nice scenery in the background. The park up is just down that road on the right. Now this little path that I'm standing on is on the right hand side of the river. If you go up that path, the ruins is on the left, so you have to actually The ruins is on the other side of the river, so you have to go up the path where the park up is. And this is the path. This is the path up to Earwood Hall ruins. So I'll tell you a little bit about it while we're walking up. Earwood Hall was built in the 1830s by Samuel Grimshaw, a wealthy Manchester businessman, and was occupied by the Grimshaw family for the next 100 years. The hall was the centre of a thriving estate of over 2,000 acres, consisting of several farms, a school, the Cat and Fiddle Inn, a private coal mine, and the hamlet of Goyt's Bridge. The family planted many specimen trees, including an abundance of azaleas and rhododendrons. Samuel's grandchildren were the last members of the family to live in the hall, which was later demolished in connection with the construction of the Fernalee Reservoir in 1934. Stones from the demolished hall were used to construct the water treatment works below the reservoir. So there you go, a little bit of history about Earwood Hall. On our way to the next stopover, we stopped in Buxton to get some groceries and fill up with water. So we had a walk around the park, and I'll keep quiet here and let you see it. Now this is where we got our water. It's called St. Anne's Well, and spring water, natural spring water, runs constantly out of that lion's head all day long. So really happy to get water, let alone spring water. Right, the next place we went to and stayed was Tag's Nose Trail. Well, Tag's Nose is a hill east of Macclesfield in Cheshire, England. It has a short ridge with a high point of 380 metres, 1,246 feet. So there you go, Tag's Nose is actually a hill with a ridge. Really nice little area. We were parked right beside the reservoir, as you can see in the map, the top reservoir. And just leading off the car park, there's a woodland area. You go up these steps. So that's where I am. And if you look down there, you can see Desperado sitting in the car park. Sitting patiently waiting to go somewhere else. So I went up the steps and then I went a bit further up, as far as you can see there. And I looked over to the right and there's a hill. So that's possibly Tag's Nose. I'm not sure. But anyway, a lovely little spot. Well worth a visit. Well, we didn't hang about there too long. I more or less just took a walk with the dog up into the woodland, up the steps here, and then I took a little walk around the reservoir, part of the reservoir. So the next place we went to is Reedsmuir Lake in Cheshire. Not a big distance from Macclesfield and just north of Congleton. Now in this place, this stopover, you can pull up right beside the lake. We pulled up side on to the lake so that we could look out the window over the lake. Was really nice. So here's a little video of it. Now while we were here, there was a fight broke out, and if you look closely there, you'll see two mallard ducks having a bit of a squabble. Now that went on for 5 to 7 minutes, and they seemed to be trying to push one another's head under the water. They weren't what you would call very nice to each other. But it is the mating season and they're probably fighting over a female duck, female mallard. But they were pretty vicious towards each other. Now the next place I went to was Old Trafford, Manchester United football ground. The son took me here for the day and I really enjoyed it. I'm not into football, but I did enjoy the day. I was lucky to be there. Ronaldo scored 3 goals. The final score was 3-2 for United. So the son, very happy. A lot of happy people about there. That's just the start of the match. I should have done more recording while I was there, but as I say, I was enjoying it, and I never even thought about recording any more clips. Next place we went to, we left Manchester. The next place we stopped was Rufford Branch Canal in Solham, Lancashire. Now this is a very small car park, as you can see, but we had plenty of room, and I parked well over to one side because I did read the comments and they said there was a lot of dog walkers about the next morning, so I left plenty of room for them. It was definitely a nice quiet stopover, no bother, and some nice countryside walks about the area. Was lucky enough to see a houseboat going up the canal. We don't have them in Northern Ireland, so nice to see. Right, the next place we went to was Lytham St Anne's in Lancashire. We stayed on this little road that came up to the beach on the south side of Lytham St Anne's. This was the wife's favourite spot. That's the little road there, and you can see Desperado sitting in there. Now the beach here isn't brilliant. It's a bit swampy, marshland sort of thing. But as you go up, further up towards Blackpool, not right in Blackpool, just a mile up the road, you have this beach here, and I was actually doing a bit of metal detecting on it. That's my hobby, but I normally do farmland around the countryside sort of thing. I would prefer to metal detect there because you find more ancient things. Beach is modern stuff. I found £4 coins and a silver St Christopher pendant. So was happy with that, and it was a bit of a change from walking around the town, blah 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 sort of thing. But a real nice beach here. Now, as I said, you have to come up the road a bit. There's 3 car parks. 2 of them will cost £15 a night, and the most northern one will only cost you £10 a night. The closer you are to the town, the more expensive the car park. But £10 a night isn't too bad. I don't mind paying that. And there is a place to empty your chemical toilet. Only thing is there's no water. We had to go to supermarket to buy water, but we got it for 17 pence for a 2 litre bottle, so not too bad. You can park out on this road as well. Between Blackpool and Lytham St Anne's, there's a shore road, and you can park on there. And I just checked the times. I think it's from 6 at night to 9 in the morning. It's free, and there's a lot of campers parked there. That's just a few photographs of some of the buildings and stuff looking over the sea. Right, the next place we went to was the Spread Eagle Bar in the Ribble Valley, Solly. And that's the bar, and you can park, the car parks across the road, and you can park there for free. But they do like you to buy some food, to go in and get a meal, or I think you can just buy a drink if you want. We went in the next morning and got our breakfast. A big fry up, beautiful. So that's the little beer garden, just right beside the Ribble River. Now, I had to go to a metal detecting rally. I didn't have to go, but I wanted to go. A couple of miles away, so that's really why we stayed here. So I have a few clips of the metal detecting rally coming up after this. That's the car park, and that's Desperado sitting parked. That's where we stayed tonight. Solly Abbey, it's only about 100 yards up the road from the bar. So here's a little information on it. Solly Abbey was an abbey of Cistercian monks in the village of Solly, Lancashire in England, and historically in the West Riding of Yorkshire. Created as a daughter house of Newminster Abbey, it existed from 1149 until its dissolution in 1536 during the reign of King Henry VIII. The abbey is a Grade 1 listed building and scheduled ancient monument. The ruins, which are now controlled by the English Heritage, are open to the public. Although not an extensive ruin, there are boards on the site that give information regarding the history of the abbey and its former inhabitants. So a very old ruins of an abbey, 873 years old, I make it. A lot of history about that place. I was reading a couple of wee articles about it. If you Google it, it's very interesting, the history behind it. Well, there you go, that's Solly Abbey. Next thing up is the metal detecting rally, I think. Yep, this is the clips, the metal detecting clips. To tell you the truth, I didn't find much at it. Normally I would record my finds, but if you don't find anything, you can't record them. But I think there was a few things found, a few hammered coins, stuff like that. That's the actual car park. Well, it's a field. And there's Desperado sitting bored to tears. The best thing I found was this. And I didn't even use a metal detector. The skull of a crow, I reckon. I think that's the skull of a crow. So, that's my best. Right, the last place we stayed in England before making our way back to Scotland was Fleetwood. And I was surprised. It's really nice. It was originally a ferry port. I remember taking the ferry from Fleetwood to Belfast a lot of years back. But there's no ferry service running to Belfast now. I don't know if there's any ferries running. But there's where we parked. Now you can park there for 24 hours for £5. If you arrive at 4 o'clock, you can stay to 4 o'clock the next day. 24 hours for a £5, so you couldn't beat that. And in the town there's a market, Fleetwood Market. If you're there, don't miss the market. It's really good. This is the shore. Now it was very windy when I was there. Not many on the beach. Very cold as well. From here you can see the Cumbrian Hills in the distance, the Lake District. And you can see a town over there, or a city. I think it's Barrow-in-Furness. So a nice area. They have a nice park quite close to where you can park up, the car park. And you've got the market, as I said. Nice little town. This is the Marine Hall Gardens and Park. Now, I reckon in the middle of the summer that would be nice. There seems to be like shops, but they weren't open. I think there was an ice cream shop open, that was all. This house here was up on the hill, just across the road from where you park your van. Would be a lovely place to stay because it's just looking over the sea towards Cumbria. Right, next place is Calaverock, Dumfries and Galloway. It's actually quite close to the first place I stopped at in Scotland at the start of the video. Glen Capel. It's only a few miles from Glen Capel. There's a castle there and a lovely little stopover area not far from the castle. Here's a picture of the stopover site before I put the castle pictures and clips on. It's a lovely little stopover site, perfectly level. There's chemical toilet, disposable point, fresh water, and you can dump your rubbish there as well. There's a litter bin. So here we go with the castle. Well, that was the last stopover. We did have about 70 miles to drive to the ferry port of Carnryan, and then we had 2.5 hours in the ferry, and then about half an hour drive home when we arrived in Belfast. So I hope you enjoyed the video as much as we enjoyed the trip, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't know when it'll be, but I'll see you then. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. It's free. Bye for now.